Austere mountains, devoid of reason and laws. A rounded mass descends, made of fangs and claws. Tumbling, tumbling, closer and closer. And when it unfurls, your time will be over.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Welcome back to another one of these videos. I haven't done one in quite some time. Nevertheless, we are here and let's do it. I needed the break, unfortunately. I definitely needed the break. So here we are. Volvidon. Volvidon got his introduction, the 3rd generation, portable 3rd if I'm not mistaken. Then he made his way to the Western Shores in 3U. He's one of the monsters who are akin to that of Arzos and Lagambi, where they're fang beasts, but they're also like Pelag something. Someone mentioned it because I asked for it in a couple of videos ago. All that really means that they kind of share the same body type, like the raw body type they kind of share. Like they have different abilities in it of themselves, but for the most part they kind of have the same body type. So a lot of their attacks are going to be similar. They all have the same swiping attack. They all have a means to like back into you. So the Arzos and the Lagambi back their butt into you and then drop it down. Whereas the Volvidon, because he's actually like a roly-poly type thing, he will roll backwards. Yeah. But let's talk about all the other things that he can actually do. I mean, there's more things that make them similar to all the other ones, but for the most part, let's talk about Volvidon and what's unique to him. So Volvidon has the ability to do 2 things. He can actually paralyze you, can actually hit you with stench. Now what stench is, for those who don't know and the uninitiated, stench, when it hit with stench, you are unable of restoring your own health unless you have deodorant. Now, I always carry deodorant because you never know when somebody gonna get kind of funky and kind of share, or rather have to share the, the means so that way they can actually heal themselves. But deodorant is, it's a particularly less than stellar item. You never really need it unless you're gonna fight a monster who can stench you. There's not been very many monsters in the entire Monster Hunter universe that allowed the means to actually hit you with stench. So it's a very uncommon item to have people carry, but I always tend to carry just in case. Anyway, so whenever he does the stench thing, you'll know it. It's like he kind of like puts himself down on all fours, he seizes up a bit, and then he shoots this brownish, dark greenish kind of gas from his body. Now, it used to be the full 360 area around him, but if you're in his direct front, he won't actually expel it from his front, only from his back and his sides. So watch for that. Now, other than that, he has paralysis. Paralysis, he does this in the manner of shooting a glob, very akin to the baggy, who would actually put you to sleep. So he'll kind of sit back, and he'll shoot this glob of like you'll know it. It's like yellow and it's all interesting looking. You look at him like, yeah, that's paralysis right there. So when you're paralyzed, there's no real means to get out of it. You have to have someone like either do an immense knockback held attack. So like, let's say you play with friends and one of them has like a gun lance. If they were to shell, you can actually get out of it, but for the most part, standard hits won't actually get you out of the paralyzed state. So you have to be careful when hunting it and you're kind of low on health and you're trying to stay away, because he'll usually try to hit you with the paralyzing agents when you are at a distance from itself. However, when you are at a distance, it actually likes to throw its tongue out. So it has a very long and extendable kind of tongue thing. It's very, very interesting attack. Comes out very quick. Has lots of range and has lots of hit stun. So even if you're blocking it, when you get hit with it, you're gonna be left in block stun for quite some time. Excuse me, not hit stun, block stun. It has lots of block stun. It's kind of wild, but it's actually really fun. Other than that, he has a wide variety of means of rolling around. He's quite nimble. He can go from the left to the right, from the front to the back, side to side, whatever, all by rolling. One thing, though, is if you hit him a number of times, usually it's like a really big hit or just a couple of hits while he's rolling, he will stop the rolling. He'll fall over, that kind of thing. Isn't impossible to do, but it's kind of hard to do, especially when he's doing them really quick. When he's doing like really quick rolls, if you're like a gunner or someone with a lot of range on their attacks and you have him kind of cornered and he attempts to do a roll, you can actually catch him while he's trying to roll. It's a lot easier in that regard. But when he himself is feeling himself, like whenever he's enraged and he's just kind of rolling around, at the speed of sound, it's kind of difficult for you to actually get this off, but it's a thing that you can actually do. So if you know how to hit him or where he is in his placement, you can actually do that. Finally, let's talk about his big attack. His big smacker of attack is when he will curl himself up to a ball, and then he'll leap high in the sky and drop his butt down on you, with his entire body on you. This is the most damaging attack. Don't get hit with it if you can, but if you can't, it's not the end of the universe. It does hurt a lot. Just make sure you keep yourself topped off on HP. You don't want to be fighting him when it comes to, like, when you're walking around kind of low on HP, because if you do, you will probably get caught up with a lot of wild stuff that he can do. Because when he's enraged, he does have a plethora of attacks where he rolls and bounces as a ball multiple times that can inflict you with the smackery. So try not to do that. But with the fight almost over, let's talk about the gear before he actually dies. So the Volvidon's gear is actually pretty solid. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it does give you paralysis attack 1, which is because all of his weapons do give paralysis. Rapid morph, which increases the switch speed and power for switch axes and charge blade. So when you go from, axe to sword with charge blade, and also from sword and shield mode to axe mode and charge blade, that kind of thing. Quickens it and does a little extra slap while you're in those modes, which is actually kind of cool because I myself love charge blade when it's in axe mode. And then you have evade extender. Increases your evade distance, of course. Extends the evasion distance by a considerable margin. Honestly, you'll notice it when you start running this particular armor set and this skill. So his armor is okay. It's not exceptional, but it's pretty solid for now. His weapons have paralysis. Take my word for it, get one, please. Please get one. If you don't have a paralysis weapon already, this is gonna be the time, because if you can actually paralyze the monster, it's very akin to like a shock trap, where the monster stays there for, like, I don't know, depending on its resistances to actual paralysis or not, it'll stay there for a good while, and no one's not gonna like you for having paralysis weapons. If you go into a group of people and you're hunting with a couple of friends or whatever, let's say you're not the best player in the group, if you paralyze a monster, you've contributed a heck of a deal to that fight. That's what I usually, when I use like bow or something like that, because I'm very bad at bow, I like to poison, sleep, or even paralyze the monster if need be. And it's not just for people who themselves don't feel like they're doing as much as their friends are doing. Paralysis is very, very strong, especially when you're trying to do particular breaks on a monster. So let's say you paralyze the monster, like, okay, I need these horns. The monster stays still and you can actually go for those horns. And if you're lucky, you can get the paralyze off a couple of times throughout the fight. It really depends on their weapon type, though, because faster hitting weapons will more often not get the paralysis out versus slower weapons, because they don't hit as often. However, to counter that in some regard, the slower weapons would usually have more paralysis. So for example, his greatsword, I don't think he even has a greatsword, but let's say he had a greatsword. A greatsword is a slow moving weapon. It would have paralysis, and it would have like 30 paralysis, whereas the sword and shield would have like 12 paralysis. You know what I mean? To kind of counter it. So would I get the gear? I would get his weapons for sure. The armor, it's up to you. It's not that bad. It's pretty solid though, especially if you like switch axe or charge blade, because that's actually quite useful. And if you are, evade extender worked well with it as well. And let's say you're using one of his weapons, like its actual paralysis switch axe. Cool, paralysis attack. It's all good. So I think this is a fairly solid set if you're gonna run the full shebang. Okay, so to wrap this up, let's do it real quick. Volvidon, susceptible to that of water. Bring water, he's a dead guy. Do we have water? Of course we do. We have quite a few things. We have Royal Udroth, we have Tetradon, and maybe a thing or two from some random thing or whatnot. So bring the water, and you'll be in relatively good hands. His weakest spot, I believe, is his shell. Actually, it didn't really matter. Just hit the guy, like, hit the daggum thing. It's not really all that tough. Hit him with water, and you'll be fine. Not super challenging, but he is definitely more challenging to have the Arzuros and Lagambi before him, because he has different fighting styles to that of what they have. So it can be a little interesting, if anything, a little more difficult than normal, but it's definitely going to be something you can actually do, which is fine, because this is actually going to be your first foray, maybe, question mark, hopefully, into the volcano. So you should come here quite often to either fight him or to gather a lot of rare materials, because the volcano is where you get a lot of rare things coming up for like gear and weapons and so on. So Volvidon, very cool monster, has fantastic weapons. I would actually make all of his paralysis weapons. His armor, you can probably pass on if you want. It's not like the best thing in the world, but I do like his weapons. I recommend everyone gets him his weapons. That's honestly about it. Not a whole lot else to say about the Volvidon. He isn't super difficult, and by now you guys should actually be able to fight him with no real issue. But with that said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you so much for watching today, and thank you so much for being so very patient for me actually taking a week off. I really needed that week off to actually recollect myself and to really get in touch with my mental side, because I wasn't in the best of situations. But I'm kind of glad that I actually took the breaks. I'm feeling a whole lot better. Like my mental, my physical, everything is just so much better. But with that said, of course, the Discord, if you want to actually talk to me in the Discord, I haven't used social media a whole lot, so I wasn't in. If you were in the Discord, I wasn't talking a lot in Discord because of the same thing I was talking about, just kind of really getting in touch with myself. However, since that's over with, hit me in the Discord. The link will be in the description. If not, Twitter link will also be in the description. You can check me out there. I'm quite active on both of these things, so if you want to actually talk to you, man, I'm always there for you. But yeah, with that said, everyone, take care, and may the desire center forever be in your favor.